Preliminary investigations point to overloading as the cause for the Brixton transformers substation to be completely burnt out. The destruction left outages in Johannesburg's Brixton, Rossmore and surrounding areas, and also affected the water pumps from the Brixton reservoir. And this led to water outages to Melville, HurstHill, Auckland Park, as well as other areas. City Power's appointed a contractor to conduct an overall assessment as well as a financial estimate for the repairs. Johannesburg City Power Spokesperson Mangena joins us now to shed more light on this. Isaac, good evening to you and welcome. Let's start with this. The damage was so complete that every piece of equipment was reduced to ashes. What is the latest as to the cause?
Good evening, Iman, and thanks for having us. We did an assessment early in the morning after the mop-up operations, and yes, you are correct. Everything that was in that transformer chamber has been raised to the ground. After finishing with the mop-up and assessment, basically are currently demolishing that structure, and instead we're going to put in 2 new mini substations so that we can basically bring electricity back to the residents. So the work is already at an advanced stage, and we are currently basically still on site, ensuring that we are done with the repairs.
I'll come back to the repairs and the detail on that and the deadline for its completion. But when you say overloading might be to blame, what does that mean? Because one imagines that this type of incident is possibly predictable, thus preventable, that something like a switch would trip, similar to, you know, when you're at home and a system is overloaded. Is this how it works?
Look, the issue of overloading, we don't rule it out, and it's part of the preliminary assessment, obviously. However, we also don't rule out act of vandalism, because as we know, the area is prone to issues of vandalism, and most of these transformer chambers, which are built like a small house, are basically being occupied by homeless people, and they normally would actually put on fires, especially when there is winter. So we are looking at all of those, including the possibility that there could have been a vagrant inside one of those transformer substations. But yes, on the issue of overloading, the area around Brixton and Crosby is also plagued by issues of overloading, especially because of the illegal connections that are happening in that area, and also the mushrooming of backyard rooms in around that area. So we don't rule out anything. Obviously, the investigation into the exact cause of this fire will basically reveal that. But we really have been having difficulties in terms of the vandalism that is happening around our infrastructure, and we don't really rule this one out. You remember, even in Soweto, as I'm talking to you now, Baragwanath Hospital is not on. We haven't reconnected them back since the fire on Thursday, and that fire was basically caused by an attempted theft and vandalism at our Orlando substation. It's something that we really have to grapple with.
Here's the thing, if you look at the impact of having both these substations out, and with the Orlando, it was the Orlando feeder board at the Soweto substation that was taken out, and as you say, owing to theft and vandalism. You're saying with regard to the Brixton substation, the homeless might have been there, maybe they did some fires, possibly illegal connections, there are many illegal backyard connections. Why is this infrastructure so vulnerable, Isaac? Why is it so accessible to the general public, given that when it goes out, first of all, we're going to come to the costs in a moment. One presumes very, very expensive to replace or to create, an alternative, an alternative supply, but also massive impact to things like the hospital, people's water in their homes.
Yes, indeed. I think the sad part about the vandalism and its impact is on essential services. As you rightfully pointed out, we're currently sitting with a situation where Joburg Water was not able to pump water around.
Isaac, I'm so sorry to interject you because we're almost out of time, but just to sharpen the question, because I feel like perhaps you misunderstood. I'm saying, why is this infrastructure? The point of the question is, why is it so vulnerable and available to public access of this type?
Look, the structure that we're talking about, we've got about 18,000 of those across the city of Johannesburg. Most of them are, like I say, they are like a small house. And what happens with them is that they are very attractive to homeless people. So they break the doors, they break the locks to get inside so that they can basically have a roof on their head. And we have basically arrested some of them. Some of them have actually been chased away by the Metro Police. So we do have teams that are actually doing patrols on this infrastructure. But like I say, we've got 18,000 of those transformer substations across the city of Johannesburg, and it's almost impossible to police each one of those, even though, like I say, we do have patrols from both the JMPD and our own private security. So this issue of vandalism, Iman, it's a very serious one. Like I say, even in terms of the cables that are getting stolen every day, it's not a situation where we make them easily available to criminals, but it's because of the criminals always find the ways, especially during load shedding, as it was the case with the one in Soweto.
We've got to be smarter, right? We've got to be smarter than those who would seek to vandalize or to deliberately damage infrastructure of this kind. By the way, what's the price tag associated with the repair?
So we haven't quantified the price, but what we are installing currently, like I say, we're installing two 500 kVA mini substations and a ring main unit. Each mini substation costs about 700,000. So you've got about 1.4 million. Give or take, we probably are putting in a new equipment that's about 2 million rands, but the cost could be higher because of the structure that I'm talking about. It, like I said, it was like a building, and inside of it had two transformers and other equipment around it. So
exactly.
Talking about 5 million rands.
Exactly. And that's and again, sorry to come in there. It is high value infrastructure. We are going to replace it. And you're already saying that we've got too many, so we can't protect it going forward. It means it can happen again. This type of big problem requires a really smart and big solution. Surely we should be using the Internet of Things, using some kind of sensor detection technology, the same way you have an alarm that, that trips in somebody's home. So many houses, thousands, hundreds of thousands of houses in Gauteng with private alarm systems. Can't we think of doing things like that? We cannot have this infrastructure be damaged in the way that it is.
This is one of the thousands, Iman, that we have across the city of Johannesburg, and some of them do have alarm systems, and some also even have the cameras, and we're going to obviously pump that one up. At the beginning of July, we're basically going to have more of the technological security surveillance around all our infrastructure, and most of these transformer substations that we are talking about, including the cables and even the street lights, will basically be benefiting from that, and will ensure. That's why we are basically doing this, to ensure that we actually cut some of the expenses that we have to deal with due to this vandalism that is happening on the infrastructure. This is over and above the boots on the ground that we are also going to roll out at the beginning of July, to add to the ones that are already on the ground. But we are also working, as I mentioned, the issue of policing is the competency of the SAPS and the JMPD. We're working with them closely, and I think in recent weeks and months we have seen arrests being made. We have seen a sentence up to about 15 years direct imprisonment being meted out to some of the criminals, and I think we are actually moving the needle in terms of dealing with vandalism.
But perhaps not moving it significantly enough when water supply is threatened, reservoirs are impacted, as well as hospitals and other essential services. We'll continue to talk about this one with Joburg City Power, and that was spokesperson Isaac Mangena just giving us an update on the Brixton substation that was, the transformer substation that blew last week.